everyone, welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. On today's video, we're back to work on Old Crow. I've got a bunch of loose ends all over this thing that I've kind of just been itching to get all cleaned up and finished up. So, as much as I want to go ahead and throw the rear link bars in this thing and make it a roller, I don't want to start on a whole other section of the truck. So, I think I'm going to start right here at the front and just start working our way back and crossing things off the list so that we can have things that are officially done as far as all the fabrication on this thing. So let me flip the camera around and I'll show you where we're starting at today. If you've been following along with the videos, you've seen in the last one where we've got these arms all put together here. They've got the bottom ones in that say Old Crow and everything's mounted, and now the front axle is actually kind of attached to the frame. But as far as our loose ends that I was talking about, we have no mounts back here in the back for a shock, and we also don't have any way to control the axle from going side to side as it's going down the road. So I need to figure all that stuff out, and while I'm doing it, I need to figure out some cross member or something in here, core support, whatever you want to call it, that's going to hold the radiator in. I picked up a new radiator for us. It's a pretty cool looking little unit, so I need to figure out a way to mount all that in there, and while we're doing that, come up with some way to actually hold the hood in the front here. So that's what I'm going to start working on today and try to cross some of that stuff off of our list. Alright, so let's address this problem that we have with keeping this axle located. There's numerous ways that a person could do that. If I would have designed the link bars or the link arms in this front suspension to be triangulated in the first place, that would be one method. I'm glad I didn't do that though, because I really like the way this is looking right now. So since we didn't do that, we have to have something else to sit here and hold this thing in the right position. The next easiest thing to do would be put a Panhard bar in. But the problem with the Panhard bar is going to be that we would have to build some big goofy mount off the frame, and it's going to be hanging out here in the middle of everything and looking terrible. So I don't want that big mount hanging out there, so that option's off the table. Another option that I was considering doing was a Watts link. A Watts link's pretty cool because it's got some other bars that are doing some actions and stuff, so it looks real mechanical and lots of things happening with it, so that's a really cool option. The problem that I was having with it though is that all those extra things that are going on with it might interfere with the look that I want of the grill. I want a really clean, smooth looking grill going down through there, and if I have all those extra pieces in there, then it's probably going to affect that. So that option's off the table. Another option would have been to do some kind of a wishbone type scenario that would help locate this thing. But there again, I think it's going to have to go up here to the bottom of the axle, and then that's going to kind of be in the area that I want that grill to be at again. So what I've decided to end up doing is put a simple 1-bar strut bar in from the lower link to the lower link and do it at an angle, probably from the front here to the back of the other side or something along that lines. And I think that's going to keep us square, so we're not going to have any problems with the front end wandering around a little bit. It's also going to kind of bind the front axle up a little bit. So some of you are probably going to be sitting there saying, well, yeah, that's a problem. It's going to bind that front axle. Well, I don't know how much that's actually a good thing or a bad thing. The thing that I'm looking at and kind of thinking about here is that if it binds that front axle, it would kind of almost act as if it was a sway bar type scenario where it's not going to let this thing have a lot of roll in the body or a lot of articulation in this front axle. In my mind, it seems like it should work, and like I said, it also seems like it should give us some other benefits as well. So I think that's what I'm about to try. We'll see if it works. If it don't work, I can always cut it back off and start over again. And we all know that it wouldn't be the first time that I've done that, right? This will be a quick, simple deal to knock out. We start out with some 5/8 chromoly rod ends, got the bungs and everything, so all I have to do is cut a piece of tube and slide it over these bungs, weld it all up. That'll have our bar made. On the other end, we just need some tabs and a bolt. This one's too long, of course, but we will sandwich that rod in between the tabs and weld the tabs over there onto that arm. No big deal. So let's knock that out real quick. We'll be on to the next project. So with that done, now we can move back just a little tiny bit and we get back to where the radiator's at. So we need to come up with a core support of some sort, if you will, for that. So what I've started doing here is I've got some stuff stacked in here to try to get it up to height. Now I need to go ahead and try to put the hood on, make sure that we're good there on all the clearances there. So I've got the hood on here, body line is looking pretty straight. Now I just need to check some clearances in here to see how we're looking inside. That is looking awesome. This thing is a perfect fit now. So all I've got to do is make some stuff to mount it in there in this position. It's really cool having this hood split in half. I might have to split all my hoods in half from now on. That makes it so much easier to work on. So before, all I had was this block of wood and that piece of square tubing underneath there, and that ended up being the perfect size, so that's going to make it real easy. I'm just going to take and trim this thing to the right size, leave it on top of that block of wood, and weld it in. That's stinky. With that cross member in there, we can now start putting our radiator in. So I'm gonna sit this bad boy right there. And I think what I'm gonna do next is take some square tubing and run right down the side of it. Something like that. Pop some holes in these tabs and bolt it straight to this square tubing. I got these welded in good enough for now. I left a 3/16 gap on the side, so we'll put a 3/16 gap at the bottom too. Stack our radiator back in here. And line it all up and clamp it. Then we'll be ready to drill some holes. Alright, that was the last one there. I don't have the right bolts again, and of course you need some rubber in here between the two, but for now, I'm just going to stick these bolts in there and shove a lug nut on there to make up the gap. One thing does kind of suck that I was noticing while I was just drilling this last hole. I'm right-handed, so I shoved the head of this bolt in from the right side like I did most of the rest of these. that's going to be a problem here because now this is not going to slide out because it's going to hit that piece that I just stuck in there. So I'm going to have to cut that bolt off, I guess, when it comes time to get it out of there. Oh well, what do you do? Hell yeah, that ain't going anywhere. I need to get some rubber in here, of course, so that it isolates the radiator from all the vibrations in the chassis, but that'll come in due time. And I think this is going to be plenty strong enough to be able to mount our hood to later on down the line, so that's all going to be golden. So I guess we're to the point where we need to cut some tabs for these shocks, knock that out, and we'll have finished up quite a little bit in this video. Man, I still got a ton of work left to do on this thing, but it sure does feel good to knock some of this stuff off my list. Now I just need to make the decision of what I'm going to work on next, and I'm going back and forth on what I should do, so I'm going to let you guys decide. Should I go ahead and work on this hood and grill scenario and finish that stuff up, or should I go ahead and go to the back and get started on some of that, make all the link bars, and make this thing a roller? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and that's what I'll do. But for now, that's all I've got for you, so I'll see you next time.